much able to join us. First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Kaunas I'm actually representing the Responsible Business Association of Lithuania. Why partnership, volunteering, and responsible business association? Indeed, I was volunteering 3 years in that association. I was chairing it, and it was quite a long and difficult job. Since this April, I'm already not volunteer, I'm director of an association, and I hope, well, following year, I will be involved quite a lot in different partnerships, what we want to create in Lithuania. My partner will introduce himself, and I would also like to introduce Gere, who is volunteer and who will start with questions. If somebody from the Lithuanian side has language problems, and if you understand that you're not sure about only your question, Gere, if somebody needs translation, also give them a group here in one phone and help with translation if needed. And since we are such a small group, indeed it should be bigger. And after panel discussion, I'm really glad if you introduce yourself. I think it would be interesting to know your name and the organization you're coming from. Can we start?
Right, it's from me. I am professor cardiologist, but additional as volunteer head of Kaunas Community Centers Association and a member of NGO Council, which was described in first part of our meeting. So there are more big amount of information about NGOs in Lithuania.
Real partnership.
Real data, not as from ministers.
Thank you.
James, I work with Kaunas University. We also do sustainable transport projects with a Dutch company as well. And I came to Lithuania a long time ago. I was a volunteer 2 years. And obviously something about Kaunas, here we stay in the morning. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm Marshall, and I'm head of Workgroup sport training. So basically, I came here to look at the final presentation conference of this nice big project which was implemented even this year of Municipal Training Center. And of course, I do as well. I'm a volunteer in some way. I'm volunteering in social support project no longer. So I'm visiting now. It's an integration project for ex-drug addicts. So the reason behind it is just to see how it works, what was reached during the year, and just to be glad that these kind of initiatives are alive and improving our societies and communication and cooperation.
Well,
I'm John Diamond. I work in the UK. I was asked to be here in my role of knowing something about the relationship between universities and voluntary organisations in the UK. I'm also a volunteer myself. I'm volunteer chair of a not-for-profit organisation that was set up many years ago to establish links between universities and very small organisations that don't have paid staff but need support in their capacity building. And I've been doing that I've been chair of that organisation for about 3 years, and I'm about to finish that.
Thank you.
I'm from Poland. I'm a volunteer of Foundation of Social Activity and a Voluntary Development Foundation. We do classes for children in Poland from small cities and villages. I have a chance to coordinate a few of my own projects, which were about mathematical didactics of mathematics. So we were doing classes to children about mathematics.
My name is Jacques. I'm from Amsterdam, the Netherlands. I'm a strategic advisor for volunteering organizations.
Wow.
I do lobbying, strategic advice, fundraising, and also now I'm an interim manager of a volunteering organization, working with people that are, how do you say that in English? They have some experience themselves because of their psychiatric problems. So they help us clear our psychiatric problems. So that's my
Thank you.
Kelmės rajono savivaldybės administracija, bendrasis priėmimo skyrius. Mes esame dviesi iš savivaldybės šitoje grupėje. Mūsų labai domintų nevyriausybinių organizacijų ir savivaldybės bendradarbiavimas, todėl kad nevyriausybinės organizacijos, jos veikia kaip ir atskirai savanorystės klausimais, o pats bendradarbiavimas su savivaldybė arba atvirkščiai savivaldybės su nevyriausybinėmis truputėlį turbūt ne toks, koks turėtų būti, todėl dirbant grupėje ir klausant pranešimų, taip pat darant išvadas, tikriausiai mes pasisemsime patirties.
Maybe short translation. Aš tada trumpai išversiu. Well, these was representatives from Kelmė municipality. It's a small municipality, and ladies are very interested in finding aspects of participation, aspects of volunteering, because usually volunteering happens somewhere outside the municipality, and the main issue is how to connect those two parties that are very important for creating welfare.
Esu Kalita Valdienė, atvykau iš Rytus, dirbu savivaldybės socialinės paramos skyriuje ir koordinuoju būtent socialinius projektus. Ir 2015 metais mes pavėlavome, kad galėtų paraiškas teikti tie, kurie būtent prioritetai būtų skiriami savanorystei. Aš asmeniškai labai vertinu teigiamai ir labai džiaugiuosi patikauti šitus klausimus. Ir man galbūt labai seniau nekalbu angliškai, kažkada labai gerai mokėjau šitą kalbą, 20 metų mokyklos laikas, tai man reiktų vertimų.
They came from Ghana. She works with social projects in the area.
And support social and volunteering is the main priority of municipality.
Yeah.
That's the main point.
Yes.
I have a small municipality that I will use for the purpose, so volunteering my job is very important.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Monica. I am from the Kaunas NGOs called Roundtable. We unite 37 different kind of organizations. So I'm really interested in what we can do with our partnership between municipality and NGOs to be more successful.
Good afternoon, my name is Agnes, and I'm from Latvia. I'm chairman of the Latvian Scouts and Guides organization, which is the international youth movement, a voluntary movement which delivers non-formal education based on values and others. And my experience is like, I'll tell you more later, but working with all this networking, I think, is a key word for me, and as a professional as well, I've been working in NGOs, I think lots of
Thank you. And actually, I will a little bit improvise because of the change, and I want to introduce one more person who is here actually already. And I wanted to present later on, but I will present now. And maybe I will ask Adela Women to present herself, who is actually listening, and that's why I'm keeping the mic, because I want Adela to hear who is participating. Adela, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. I can only see a few very nice backs of the heads without faces, because the camera seems to be at the back of the room. I'm Adele Wiemann, and I'm joining you via video conferencing today from Vienna. I myself have been working in Lithuania a couple of years ago with the United Nations Development Program in the first kind of structured attempt to promote cross-sectoral partnerships in Lithuania. Cross-sectoral partnerships meaning mainly partnerships between NGOs and businesses, as well as universities and municipalities. This was a few years ago, and ever since then, I moved out of Lithuania, and now I'm working in Austria, continuing my work in corporate social responsibility, mainly in the area of assisting businesses to manage the impact they have on society and helping them improve those impacts. So I moved a little bit further away from the NGO business and cross-sectoral partnerships. But I was very glad to receive the invitation to continue talking about it and remember everything we actually did as part of this UNDP project. So I will assist Ozan a little bit with my own insights of what we actually did, what we experienced, what are the opportunities and the challenges for cross-sectoral partnerships in Lithuania.
Thank you. And actually, I'm really glad that some of those partnerships survived and they're still alive, and where different partners are finding itself. Okay, so let me shortly then make a few points just to repeat. Sorry for repeating the panel discussion, the panel part, but I still want to repeat several points that I think are very important. The goal of our workshop is to discuss 3 questions. You have those questions, and we have to discuss those questions at different levels: local, national, and EU level. So, but we will come later to that. The context, where all those partnerships are happening. I think today,
Hello guys, sorry, I had an issue with a hotel and emergency. We went to the hotel, so I mean that's with you from the beginning. Okay, so we're going to the presentation.
Yeah, so in today's world, I think we cannot put the boundaries along organizations. They are not acting anymore in one certain place. They definitely create ecosystems. And what happens if in ecosystems different parts are not interconnected? I think it's not impossible to work without partnerships. And the changes that are now in society, that are happening in the society, I'm a fan of Jeremy Rifkin, and I'm a fan of the Third Industrial Revolution book, and I'm a fan of actually talking about Fourth Industrial Revolution, but I'm very glad to say that the industrial civilization is ending. And I see the clear signs that it's ending. Unfortunately, not that fast as I would wish. And we have a lot of signals, a lot of problematic signals in the world, but I'm used to threaten my auditorium a lot, but this time I will not do that. And I think we have changes, we have shifts from rural to urban quite a big shift of citizens moving, and that was mentioned in today's presentations also, that the partnerships and volunteering is a little bit different in different societies. So we are also becoming urbanized society, though we used to be quite rural society not long time ago. And social innovations that are happening, they're also changing world considerably. We have already in Lithuania global shapers, we have hubs, we have urban gardening, we have complex initiatives, and that's happening. We're not talking about something like what is not here, it's here. And communication revolution makes it completely different, and it's possible to talk with Adela in Vienna, and I'm very glad that we can really share experiences, and I'm looking forward when we will not have to travel that often, and we will save Earth, we will minimize pollution, and we will meet each other only occasionally, because that's the reality. My favorite topic, of course, is sustainable development, and I will not also talk about it today. But sustainability, I think it's not a philosophy, it's not something what we see what should happen in the future. I think it's a quality of life, and partnership and sustainability those topics should go together. Because sustainability is not possible without partnership. And we will not reach it without collaboration between different partners. So, in this world, partnership is a key word. Partnership and networking. Yes. Theory says how to make it work. This is theory, and that was also discussed today, and we will be discussing several times. We have to inform each other. We have to understand why we are volunteering. I don't know what was your answer to the word why to volunteer. What is volunteering? For me, volunteering is fun. And for some people, fun is to help for strange people, help for refugees. For some people, fun is to do something different. But if you are not doing that from your heart, I think volunteering will never ever happen and will never ever last. It has to go from your heart. You have to create ideas together, you have to make plans, and the most important thing, you have to commit and do it. So that's the theory. And I would like to, before presentations, I would also like to share rules for partnership. Of those rules, two are most important. The real partnership, successful partnership, will never happen if we will not have equal rights among partners and if we will not have trust. That's my standpoint. Okay, let's go to the examples. Adela, can you share with us examples you did in Lithuania and what was good in those partnerships concerning communication, concerning commitments and financing?
Yes. Thank you, Aldona, and thank you for the nice introduction into the topic. And thank you to the person right in front of me who is actually shifting so I can see at least one face and not the back of the head. I very much appreciate that. To give you a little bit of an understanding of what my experiences and observations are coming from, I would like to tell you a little bit more for those who did not know or were not involved, tell you a little bit more about what we actually did as part of the United Nations Development Program initiative to promote cross-sectoral partnerships. And based on these experiences, I will give you a few examples of how these partnerships look like, what they actually achieved, and share a few observations of what were the most challenging parts and how these challenges manifest themselves in the Lithuanian context. So first of all, we started a program at UNDP as part of the National CSR Advancement Program, during which we provided seed funding for pilot projects for NGOs to partner with businesses or universities or municipalities. Next to the seed funding, we also provided the services of an impartial broker, which was me, myself, who would support the partners, be it an NGO, be it a municipality, be it a university or a business, in creating these ideas and creating these projects that could be successful cross-sector partnerships and address issues that are important to all partners. So I was involved mainly in kind of partner searching, building these ideas, and ensuring that the partnership is actually effective and it goes forward, assisting the partners in solving any potential conflicts or misunderstandings that appear during the implementation. What do we mean when we talk about partnerships in this sense? And this is very often a common misunderstanding. A cross-sectoral partnership, it is a mutually beneficial alliance between different sectors. Different sectors, I mean the private and the societal sectors. And the benefit, this mutual benefit here, does not mean that it's funding or a public relations initiative. It actually means that the partners are addressing a topic or an issue that is of mutual interest to them. For example, it can be, addressing the issue of, say, energy efficiency. In the sense, for NGOs or municipalities, it's an important issue in terms of promoting sustainable development, promoting environmental protection. For businesses, it is also a very topical issue, since they themselves actually need to become more efficient if they are to be a future fit business. In the course of this project, we initiated 26 partnerships in various areas. It was, ranging from human rights to environmental protection to volunteering promotion to inclusion promotion, things like that. They were quite bottom-up, meaning that NGOs or businesses could actually suggest ideas for these partnership projects that they wanted to implement for 12 months, apply for seed funding, and in return get services of an impartial kind of advisor or broker. What some of these partnerships actually were, I would like to give you 4 examples. One is a partnership between an environmental NGO, a number of municipalities across Lithuania, and a number of water companies across Lithuania. What the partnership actually did, it was aimed at promoting the use of tap water instead of bottled water in cafes and in municipalities. And Audrone is lifting up a bottled water in her hand, meaning that this university might have not been actually approached by this project. But the basic zest of the partnership was that the environmental NGO had this idea that they want to promote people to drink tap water instead of buying bottled water and thus reduce the use of plastic. They approached municipalities in creating an initiative for restaurants and cafes to give them kind of a certification or a stamp that this or that cafe provides tap water for free to their customers. It approached the water companies, which are usually state-owned, to get their expertise, to actually bring experts from the water companies to the restaurants, cafes, and organizations to test the water that runs from the tap and to show people that actually this water is completely safe and perfect to drink. So as you can see in that partnership, the competences and the interests of various sectors and various partners, organizations from various sectors were brought together to actually make it a successful initiative. A company on its own could not do that because they would be blamed for public relations, communications, marketing. Please drink our water because it's good. An NGO themselves might have not been able to make it because they may not have the technical expertise to actually show that this water was perfectly fine to drink. Another example is from the social sphere. It is a partnership between the Lithuanian Association of People with Disabilities and one of the largest telecommunications companies in Lithuania. The Association of People with Disabilities wanted to promote and actually improve the access of services for people with permanent or temporary disabilities. One of those services being telecommunication services. What the telecommunications company actually did not know or did not understand without being approached by this NGO was that by not thinking about people with disabilities and the extent to which their services are accessible to people with disabilities, they might have lost around 200,000 people who are currently in Lithuania either temporarily or permanently disabled who could be potential clients. So again, this is an issue of mutual benefit where by partnering and actually auditing, say, the service shops of the telecommunication company and training the employees of the telecommunications company in how to approach and how to deal and how to serve people with this or that disability, both the NGO and the telecommunications company actually gained a benefit. There are a few other examples. Some of the more easier ones to implement were the ones by environmental NGOs and businesses, just because it's a little bit easier for businesses to understand these hard facts that environmental NGOs might present to them relating to energy efficiency or reducing their emissions or whatnot. One other partnership that John, I think, will talk about a little bit later is a partnership between, again, an NGO, if I remember correctly, a few municipality institutions and companies in actually creating a platform for professional volunteering for company volunteers, where an employee of a specific company can go into schools and teach a certain subject to school pupils. For a company, sometimes it was a nice way to actually train their employees to send them to schools and make them, talk about the everyday issues from chemistry, marketing, mathematics to school children, to train their own understanding and their ability to explain those things. And for schools, this was a massive benefit to actually get people from practice to come and tell their pupils of what the topics that schools teach, how they're used, and what they're useful for in real-life work environments. So it was a very nice partnership that gives a benefit to, again, both partners. It sounds very nice and it sounds wonderful, and everybody is ready to go out and partner with anybody from any other sector. But that is not that easy. And to be honest, most of the partnerships we worked with, they encountered various challenges at one stage or another. And one of the main reasons for that is that very often the NGOs or the businesses or the municipalities have extremely different working cultures. Businesses in Lithuania, most of them are incredibly well advanced, they're very fast paced, they have clear structures of decision making, and they want to see results. They have targets and they have processes to achieve those results. When you meet NGOs or also municipalities and sometimes universities, the pace of work and the culture of work is very different. So they might not be as, say, as apt to provide such fast results or to even communicate what results they might provide from a partnership. And this lack of similarities in working culture sometimes leads to misunderstandings and frustrations. And you hear a lot, especially from the business side, that sometimes they have been approached by this or that organization, be it public or an NGO, who suggested a project, they agreed on a project, and then the NGO just disappeared. Or, for example, they promised to deliver something at a given point in time, and they did not without even informing of the delays. And this really hinders the progress of the actual partnering. And it also creates a certain lack of trust between the different partners and between the different sectors. To begin with, very often, at least in my personal experience in Lithuania, the understanding of what, for example, an NGO is capable of or what their interests are is very much lacking in sectors and among people who have never worked with NGOs. They don't necessarily know what an NGO is for, what do they do, what motivates them, and what they can actually deliver. Some of these issues are actually not very they're not very specific to Lithuania. I've been asked to kind of compare this experience to other countries, and very honestly, now, for example, I'm working on a research project at the university where I'm partnering with, again, a large multinational company in helping them assess their impacts on their operations in Bangladesh. And I see exactly very similar issues in partnering with, companies across Europe, that if an organization does not have the experience to see and does not have the experience of working with a different kind of organization that has different drivers and different cultures, they will not be very understanding in the beginning of the partnership. And you run into the same kind of misunderstandings of a company wanting to have this or that deliverable done at this and that point, whereas, for example, universities might not be able to deliver as fast or not even willing to. And there's a certain mismatch between the expectations and the cultures of different partners. So this is not very different when you compare Lithuania and other countries. What is one of the kind of key differences and one of the key hindering points from our experience in Lithuania is that very often NGOs do see other partners, be it municipality or businesses, as merely funding providers, rather than partners who could work on a mutually beneficial project that stands beyond mere funding. Funding is another question, but that is not the key aspect when it comes to cross-sectoral partnership. The need that partnerships have, and the need for these kind of cross-sectoral partnerships is very clear, and I'll explain it a little bit. There are certain issues with sustainable development and sustainable development on a local level that municipalities or NGOs or businesses cannot address on their own, even if they receive funding from another sector. That is not a question, but that they will not be able to achieve these targets as efficiently as they would in a cross-sectoral partnership. And volunteering actually in that sense enters this debate and enters this scene in a way that when you have people from different sectors volunteering for different organizations, very often they start actually understanding of what these organizations do, what they can do, and it assists a little bit in building some trust between the partners. And quite often we actually saw some of these cross-sectoral partnerships coming out of one or other employee of one organization having a volunteering experience with another organization, seeing something that could be done among themselves and between those partners, and actually suggesting that partnership project to their superiors. So this is kind of the experience that we had and some of the observations. When you think about what is actually key to these cross-sectoral partnerships in terms of communication, decision-making, and the financial setup, there are 3 key principles and 3 key aspects that have to be safeguarded and ensured. First of all, there has to be a high level of transparency between the partners, and quite strong understanding of a mutual benefit for each partner, and a quite high level of equity. When we think about transparency, transparency starts in the very beginning of the project, and it relies very much on quite a long phase of trying to understand each of the partners' expectations, listening to each of the partners' expectations and incentives. When you move on into the partnership, it is very important to keep these communication channels open, because misunderstandings very often between different sectors, they do happen, and they do need to be addressed in an open manner. When you talk about mutual benefits, as I mentioned in the beginning, the mutual benefit has to be there, and it has to be understood, and it has to be made explicit. meaning each partner has to state what they're expecting from the partnership. What very few partnerships actually do, and which is very suggestible, is to actually have targets and goals established from very beginning. It helps to ensure that both partners achieve what they wanted to achieve, and it helps to understand whether the partnership was effective or not, and to decide on whether this pilot partnership should be scaled, or should it be terminated, or should it be altered to make sure that it achieves the same goals or targets more effectively. It is not easy to agree on specific targets or find mechanisms to measure it. You know, some targets are more easy, some others are more difficult to measure. When you think about, say, you know, if you want to promote volunteering in that sense, what you can actually measure, you can measure volunteering hours, you can measure the satisfaction of receiving organizations or the volunteers to see whether the partnership actually achieves certain goals and has had any impact whatsoever. One of the last and more tricky questions is the question of equity. And it relates a little bit to the financial setup of a partnership. What equity means in these partnerships is that both partners have to have an equal voice in deciding the course of the partnership and the specific actions. This equal voice usually is safeguarded by an agreement, but it also relates to the fact of where the finances for the partnership actually come from. And very often, what you have is that if one of the parties, say, be it a municipality or a business or an NGO, is funding the partnership, with the money comes the power. And it's very often, say, both, you know, in other countries, the experience shows that the most beneficial way to set up a partnership to ensure that it serves the mutual benefit and it safeguards equity between the partners is to have a third-party funding. So meaning that the funding and the initiation or kind of safeguarding of a project comes from somewhere else and not necessarily the partners themselves. If the partnership is funded from one of the partners, then this equity principle has to be safeguarded and agreed upon by certain agreements right in the beginning. So these are kind of, you know, my inputs into what we saw is the most important. I will stay with you, and if you have any questions or would like me to elaborate on any of the specific points, I'm very happy to do so. And I hope that the sound has not been too bad. Audrone?
Well, it was quite bad sound.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
It's a technical thing. We couldn't do anything. Thank you, Adela. I made a point what you mentioned about your experience. So it's partnership. You as a partnership broker, the person who assisted in partnerships, more than 20 partnerships in Lithuania, and that included not municipality NGO, but mostly NGO and business, and some included municipality. So it's trust, interbeneficial projects, transparency towards expectations, open communication channels, mutual benefits, and equity. So that's basically what I made a point, and I would add that Adela talks not from the theoretical point of view, but from the real point of view, real experience in Lithuania. So it's possible, it happened, it was successful, and I've shown you that one of the professional volunteerism projects. Why do you need it? Where you can register your request or your offer, so it still exists. It's a start, but it was successful. Thank you, Adela. Shall you stay with us? Yep, for a while?
Yes, I will stay until the coffee break. Very interested to hear what the participants have to say.
Okay. Anybody has a question to Adela?
I'm just interested from the side of businesses maybe, how difficult or easy or challenging it's to involve businesses into this kind of action, because it's kind of that business starts to be socially responsible, or they, I don't know how to tell, but do they willing to do that easy, or is it a bit a challenge to make this partnership to find business who would like to take a part in participation and cooperation with NGOs?
To be honest, it very much depends on the business. And I must say, out of the 20 partnerships that we funded, more than half, the initiative actually came from the business side, looking for an NGO partner. So this is quite a strong indication that sometimes more progressive businesses in Lithuania, meaning businesses for whom corporate social responsibility, sustainability, or community engagement are not new topics, they're willing to partner, and they're looking for partners to implement certain projects. There is another problem that very often you have this kind of misunderstandings from the NGO side. It was sometimes difficult to find NGOs who would commit to such a partnership and such a project, because it is challenging. You will have to go into a business, go into a boardroom, and make the case of why this project is important. And that is difficult. It's much more difficult than receiving, a certain amount of funding and doing your projects on your own. The benefits, if the partnership is successful, are much greater, but this so-called transaction cost or actual time required to establish the partnership is much longer. And some of them, they do fail. Some of them, you might agree to meet one of the companies to discuss common projects, and you just realize that it's not going to work, that you cannot find the common ground, and either one of the sides is not willing to listen or to understand that both partners, both NGOs and businesses, are in this partnership for a benefit. So for businesses, sometimes it is difficult to accept that that it will not be an easy fix to partner with an NGO. So partnering with an NGO is not about giving a certain amount of money until looking at the initiative being done and writing a press release about it. And this is where the difficulties with businesses come from. For NGOs, it is difficult to understand that businesses do want quick results, and they actually do want results. So it will not be enough to say that, okay, we did this and that, and there was an event, and nothing really happened afterwards, but we wrote one press release mentioning this company or the other. It is not going to work that way. So it's kind of, this question is always posed by a few NGOs asking if it's difficult to engage the businesses. And honestly speaking, I would say that no. But the more difficult part is delivering of what businesses might expect, and for businesses to have enough of a patience to understand the motivations behind NGOs' actions and understand that partnering with an NGO is not an easy fix.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed what you were saying. Thank you very much. I wondered if you could share some of your experience from the point of view of time. In other words, there are different notions of time, I guess. The time that the NGO thinks they have to discuss this, the time that the municipality thinks it has to discuss this. And I've wondered whether you've got examples where the time issue had led to the relationship not working, but also examples where you've been able to broker a relationship because it's the issue of trust and building confidence that people were able to work through some of the issues that they had to discuss in order to arrive at an agreement. Does that make sense?
Yes, in a way it does. I will try to answer it. If I don't answer it fully, please tell me. This issue of time is, as you rightly pointed out, an interesting one. because their understanding of time in different sectors is very different. When you think about the work cycles in the private sector, you talk about the time that they talk about is days, maybe months, maybe annual reporting cycles. When you talk about time with NGOs, of course it depends on the NGO, and I really would not like to generalize because there are NGOs with very different working cycles, the ones that I encountered, but very often those time cycles, they are much longer. They tend to feel that they have more time to make certain decisions or to implement certain parts of the project. When you talk about time with municipalities, I must admit I have the least experience, and it again depends, on the municipality and on the person who is actually in charge in the specific organization. But again, they might run into the risk of understanding of time that they have for certain cycles or stages of the partnership to be different than their partners understand it. What, in my personal experience and in the project that I brokered, the project implementation period was always 12 months. That was kind of set up right from the beginning in the seed funding agreement we had with the NGOs. And to be honest, a lot of the times, say 3-4 months at least, were spent on finding the right partner and talking with the partner of what the project should be. Once the partnership actually started, say another 5-6 months, so half of the partnership was again spent on structuring the whole project. So the actual implementation is a very short time span. The largest part is actually setting up, scoping, building, structuring that project. And a lot of the partnerships misunderstood that. They thought that it will be much easier if we just have some guiding principles and start it, and they ran into troubles later on because some of the expectations were not fully discussed right on the onset of the project. So when you look, at the cycle of how to broker these partnerships or how these partnerships should look like, really the first building part is really the longest. And for businesses, this is challenging. For NGOs, this is challenging. For everybody, it's challenging to understand that it's a very important part that requires a certain amount of time and sometimes cannot be rushed. Does that answer your question?
Thank you. Thank you, Etela.
Welcome.
I would like to ask the next speaker, probably, to present your
point of view. I'm today for 7 years. I want to use other experience my story is shortly about my story. I started all the NGO work when I was 6, and my grandfather told me end of Soviet occupation time, and my grandfather used to be deported to restore time to Siberia and hated all the regime, and he told me during scouts that's a great movement worldwide. And I was 6 years old, and I was sent to the first brownie evening, and I loved it. And I still love it, and I believe that what the young people among adults can experience in their life as active citizens. Talking about the topic of today, municipalities, NGOs, and how to cope better. This morning, Mr. Halifax shared 6 success principles. I have another 6. And I will start, I think there's 6 words which I came up, which I think is important in any partnership between NGOs and the public administration, or we can enlarge to to wider perspective. But starting with that, before I go into the 6 words, I always start with this triangle of the what is democracy or by theory, and it's where the civil society, public administration, and business works together, and then there's the 4th, which is mass media. That was the speech, thought, and a grade 7 or something like that when we talked about a structure of the state and how all of them are working together. Like civil society or people need to pay taxes, so the business pay taxes as well. They need to have work, and then this cash goes to the public administration, who again gives a benefit to society. And then recently I read an article, and that was written that academics will save the world if they will solve problems. And then I thought, but where they are, like where they are in this structure, if they will be the ones who will save the world. Some people say that NGOs will save the world. If you look at Greenpeace, they say we save the Arctic. If you look at the Scouts, they're making a better world, and always prepared to help those in Red Cross and other great NGOs. So they're also willing to save the world. Then business, they know how. They also have the sense, and public administration has this kind of mandate to do it or to create a better world for us, and how we all work together. And I think it's important to always start with the idea, or every single step starts with the idea that we need to do something. I know we want to have a greener town, so we need to plant a park. So that's the idea. And then a second is, I'll say, a green mind. We can have so many ideas as we want, but if there won't be a deal that yes, this is something we want to do, nothing will drive us forward. No obligations of some document. Of course, documents help, and we need to know. We know that it's needed. Then another number 3 is people, and boys and girls. It doesn't matter, men and women, or transgender or whatever. Everybody is. So this will goes to the people. So there will be a personality of people behind the one. In other, like in a change management process, we call it. I think it's called like change ambassadors. Who, when you run a big change in a company or a municipality, you need to have ambassadors who actually talk to the different stakeholders. And will be willing to bring this idea to the wider society. And then, of course, it's important to have group number 4. It's research. It can be money. It can be infrastructure with the buildings or forests, or we need to have transportation, maybe like a bus. And if we talk about volunteers today as well, I think one of the speakers mentioned it's important to have food or reimbursement of the cost. All that and that costs money as well, of course, for the other resources, and the time, of course. We talk about volunteers. So, when we look at NGOs in the public sector, the research most of the time stands, the financial research stands on the municipality side, but the time research most of the time stands on the NGO side. And then the number 5, I picked up the story, so the communications, how we can, I just wrote Facebook, okay, we talk people by people, we use TV and other things. We need to tell our story. Why we want to do this? why our local community or why the community needs this idea. Tell our story. It's so simple. Sometimes it's very close. Who knows why we're building this new bridge and coming on new building, coming back to my example, why we planted this new park in France, like, why? Because there's a space in development for better nature, for a better air, etc. It's so simple, but tell the story, don't keep it just for yourself. And the last time I put the fireworks, yeah, we can do that. A celebration and reflection. You reflect how successful your partnership was, and also celebrate together. And today about youth volunteering is fun, and everything should be easy. Like if it's not easy, then don't do it. So like everybody likes to say thank you, and it's just so simple, right? And it's just six simple things. And if you have this common sense with your partner, then and following this, I believe that everything is possible. You can plant parks, you can build new bridges, you can save art, but just follow the things. Coming back to some of the points, what you told, what's in 3 questions, and there was about, I definitely agree with transparency and financing, and you have an agreement with your these municipality or also this business. I think it's very important. And from NGO perspective, in Latvia, when we write a project from the NGO Ministry of Education, we are at some point at a live board. It's like we're becoming an expert in all kinds of accountancy. But it's supposed to be a user initiative project. Like they asking us, and just giving an example, that we understand what kind of paperwork we do, and we give transparency from our side, but not always the public administration gives the transparency from their side. There were 200 kilometers, and we gave battle over 200 kilometers in Brussels. We go to the meeting 100 kilometers away from Riga, coming back to 200 kilometers. But if you count how much petrol you use, it's 220 kilometers. And somebody wrote that yes, we went 220 kilometers. But if you calculate CDA, 200 kilometers. So we needed to give a Google Map printout on which route and which street we took. And it was a cost of like a bit more than 10 euros. It took us like a few hours to do all admin work, and somebody also checked that. So one 10 euro bill costed actually the state at least 50 or 60 euros, even maybe 100 euros. If you count our work time, which is like crap. And there should be some logical sense on also transparency and financing. And this paperwork, I think especially new democracies or new EU countries, if you may say so, where a lot of EU grants are spent, they are mental of translating these rules in their realities. Because most of the things what EU say, we suggest you to do this way. It doesn't say you have to do this way. And then, of course, you want to be the best students, as in so the time tutors, those that need the best and everything. And so we will ask you need 1 paper, you will add another 5 papers. Come on, like that partnership, like it's mental. And in my in this when Roman helped me to send some things, I put in my sentence the social impact is what you can get out of the whole partnership. And I think today I was already from UK partners told a lot about how much you can get back from €1 £1 if you invest in volunteer work or in social action. And I think we need to do more this research on what is actual tenor of the voluntary work for your community. And just mention a few points is a long-term investment definitely. So you cannot expect a short-term outcome. If in UK was £1, 3.5 something return, then I know that Helsinki City Council did the €1 investment into youth work, voluntary youth work, gave €7 back in voluntary youth work. I guess from Scouts I can tell if the government gave €1 last year, we gave them €10. No, €20 back. I didn't know there's €20 back because our government is amazing on distribution of money. Then another thing, so economical benefit, which we already get. Then skills, what the volunteers get, of course, helps them get back to, or not get back, but a business market is much more successful. If I graduate university and I had already 4 or 5 years a national level project management experience because I was active in National Youth Council and Scouts and international other organizations, so I already was capable to run projects when I graduated. And my schoolmates were like, oh, there's what to start. So it definitely helps not just for young people, but also for adults. We have a lot of adult leaders who, by doing their volunteer work with the kids, in our case, they learn new skills, they learn new knowledge, which can they also give to their employees to benefit. So they also get skills and they get the mentoring. And as well, Dave mentioned from the UK about this happiness or the happiness index. So people doing volunteering, they are more happy there. They feel that their work, they're meaningful, and they need to. I think humans need to have this sense. And another very important point I found is also loyalty, which now is all defense issues around, especially in our region. We talk a lot about how loyal our citizens are, and if there will be attacks from our regional partners, will actually, how many people will defend our country. And I can say about, like again, from our, I think if from our early childhood, this young person participated in city council celebration, they did this deed and cleaning up the park, doing some other things in a good day and in a bad day. And so they were part of the local community since their early childhood. And once they grow up, also with our urbanization, what you mentioned, people move to the bigger cities. But if you already have this connection to your local community, you want to go back when you're educated and adult and settle down there. And we have research in our organization that from one unit, which I can say I think is the best unit in Valmiera city, which is in the north part of Latvia, is very strong Scout unit there, and they are active in lots of city events. So they're proudly having the badges there from that town, from early childhood till the oldest age group, and they're active. And I see that those young guys after university, they're going back, they're making business there because they have connections. They grow up there, and that's their place. I think that's the main thing what I wanted to mention. And I have some other examples, but from Denmark, but I will leave that because I think that I already answered the copyright. Thank you for the chance to share that and have this chat. This was later.
Thank you. Yeah, that was really inspiring to hear. I made a lot of remarks in the table we have to make,
and I remain very visible in the computer. But could we take a coffee and come back? Because I think we should listen for the next presentation and then everybody has the right to say.
Begin our last session, second and the last. Once again, please accept my apologies for being late for the first part of Workgroup. I needed to went to the hotel immediately. Let me introduce myself. I don't know if Odrona said anything about me. So I'm Maciej Mizeracki from Poland. I'm a NGO worker, volunteer, and I'm also a worker of municipality. I was responsible for cooperation between NGOs, volunteers, and public sector in my city. And now we have 55 minutes to conclude our session. We had 3 main questions. In short, it's about first, it's about communication between municipality officials from public sectors and NGOs. Second is about this financial matters, about some financial structure between NGOs and business or public sector. And third is about decision-making process. We had also some short presentation from Magdalena for 5 minutes, something like that. And after that, 15 minutes for one question. It could be best, because it could be nice to present our conclusion on the ending session. Okay, Magdalena, could you?
So because we have not enough time to show you the presentation, I will just conclude like the few main points of my presentation. That will talk about. I will talk about good practices, about communication, partnership in Poland that I have observed in our foundations. First of all, we can see that municipals are more open to volunteers. There are some offers for volunteers. They can come and work in some departments. They can choose which department they want. So, for example, my friend had like a voluntary internship in the Prime Minister's office, and it was a great experience for her because she could see how it all works, and it would look amazing in her CV in the future. But in Lublin, in the town I live in now, I have observed one great thing, which is it's called Thursday's breakfast. But I think that Maciek can tell something more about it.
Yeah, I could. Thank you. Like our municipality in Lublin, our city, we managed few months ago, starting maybe it was November, to begin this initiative to make some informal space to cooperation, to discussion between NGOs from the city and municipality. In the city office, in the our municipality division of social affairs, we managed this kind of breakfast, like everyone basically from NGOs, some representatives of the NGOs are invited to a breakfast co-organized with a municipality, so us. So we are eating some foods, drinking coffee. We've got some topic, usually like, for example, sometime was about some new legislation, about associations and foundations, or about supporting organizations by the municipality in the field of some offices, own spaces for organizations. So the topics go on from mouth to mouth. And the idea is to bring together some leaders from organizations, from social sector, from city, and these officials, these workers from municipality who decide of some policy in NGO fields or know from the formal side how to process, for example, some grant applications and so on and so on. So that was initial idea. I hope so. It's going on still very well.
Yes, I was on one of those breakfasts. It was about renting buildings from the city,
from the municipality or from some
for lower fees, for lower money. So it was great topic. And recently it was about financing some kind of sport or culture activities, I guess. But it's great. I just love this idea of having such space to talk and to meet.
Yeah, I don't know if such meetings are usual in other cities, countries.
President's breakfast we have.
Yes. This is on the. I don't want to say lower level, just more basic. And the idea is to shorten the distance between officials who are very important and have a power, and these little citizens who want to make something. Yeah, John?
Could I ask you, did you prepare both sides for the meeting? In other words, voluntary sector organisations might see it as an opportunity to lobby, to present why municipalities should be funding them. The officials might see it as an opportunity to tell voluntary organisations how they should be doing things. In other words, the meeting could end up with neither side listening to the other. So, was there some preparation?
Yeah, the preparation was like, at first, the moderator of this meeting is a guy from NGO who also are maintaining local internet portal about NGO. This is Mateusz Małyska, who is also with us, but on a different panel. For example, a topic for our next meeting is before discussed, of course, on the previous meeting and on some social media, or everyone could have an idea. For example, go to municipality and say, okay, maybe let's discuss about this because this is some hot topic for us. And it was this meeting was prepared like just make some buzz about we've got this meeting in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, for example. So please let's talk about this to other organizations, make it maybe a little viral, and then more and more people from different organizations are coming to this meeting.
Okay, so I will move on to some next points. As was mentioned before, media. We should use media in our to promote what we do, and it's like this in our project. Because I had like mathematical project recently in Atom. So I asked some media, local press, radio. They came to this event. We also asked the local government, and sometimes we also invite the representatives of our partners, of business partners. So it's also good that they can see what we actually do, that they do not only give us money, okay, it looks great, you can do it, but they can see how this money is, how we use this money. I can also add that you were saying that your volunteers come to your after they move out, but they come back to the hometown to do something positive, to work, still work for the community. And it's also like this in Poland because we have such program right now in which we cooperate with municipals and also the business. It's about being active. We do classes to children, to actually teenagers, about some social issues, being an active citizen. And after such classes, we have an outdoor game, and it's very common for those volunteers from all over the Poland that they do those classes in their hometowns, even though they study in all over the Poland. They come to their hometowns because they want to do that in their local community. So it's also a great practice. And one more thing that I may tell you is that when we do such projects, we also ask children, we ask our audience, what they think about it. So we give them a paper that they fill in with some questions. They can, there can be, for example, stars that they can color and tell us in a way how they like it. So it's good for us that we know what was if the aim is achieved. But we also then we do some statistics. We can quote some best opinions from the children, and our partners know. Okay, it was great event, but children will also say that they would like to continue such projects. They would like to have more classes like that. So it's also positive that the business then sees, okay, it was good event, it was money used in a good way, so maybe we should donate some more money to do it more often. Okay, I think it's more or less what I wanted to say. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now we could try to find out answers to 3 questions. We've got some background from this presentation from 3 different countries, different impacts. And I think we got one by one how we can find answers for these 3 questions. Basically, it's also divided to 3 levels: the local, national, and European level. So for a local level, it could be about improving some methods into the NGOs, into the organizations, and cooperation between NGO and municipality and business. On the national level, to implement some methods from different countries involved in this project. And the idea about the European level is to find some conclusions, some recommendations for European Commission, how to support volunteers and volunteering at all. Okay, that's the first matter. Everyone could see what's the main question, main issues about communication. Yeah, and this is mainly about this, what I said, for example, about this breakfasts in our city, how municipal officials should communicate with some partners within the municipality. I think it could be the best to achieve some different opinions from you. Some jobs you can.
I have a question here because we in Amsterdam we work together with the local government with funding the voluntary sector. So is it just asking you for starting with potential new partners, or is it just we have this kind of collaboration between government and many voluntary organizations? So if something goes well and other things doesn't go so well. So is that the question, or is it just starting with new partners?
It really depends on in different countries we've got a different level of cooperation, I think. As we can heard on the presentation on the aula, for example, in Lithuania, the law about volunteering is implemented just now, for example. I know in Great Britain probably it could be for, I don't know, probably a lot of years. It's some strict rules.
So we work with the government, and so to what extent it's going well because many organizations in the voluntary sector that work with people with severe health problems, they get money from the government. So that's good. But on the other hand, the government has the local government has much more tasks now than before because there are many tasks from the central government are coming out to the local government, and they have less money to spend for the care sector than on the national level. It used to be the national government. And now, so a new policy on local level should be developed in the Netherlands. And then the voluntary sector and the government should, I think, together develop a new policy. And that should be a situation where we communicate openly and we have clear roles as well. That's what
of course, it's quite the same situation in Poland, for example. Also, this weight of responsibility from central government to the local government is going on and on. So that's the same.
I also think that when you think that civil society has to do more in the field of care, you should also give some power to the field. Listen to the field. The plans are, let's see that which is important, and that's quite difficult for the government to take over the plans of a coherent plan from the sector and carry that out. So there is communication, but the communication is not so a nice communication.
Yeah. Okay, John, you had a word.
I read the question as suggesting that it's coming from a municipality. But partnership working, as we heard right at the beginning, this argument, is about mutual benefit and mutual relationships. And those relationships have to build on dialogue and trust and transparency and all the things that then I think the point you're making is exactly right, that and in the context of health and social care, the municipality may want one thing, but the NGO sector may want something else. And it's how we have a dialogue, which I think is really important, because the answer to the question might be, actually it's not a good fit. And so we have to think again. And the diagram that your colleague showed had, I think, a really good point. It had an exit point. In the partnership relationship, moving on is one of the options there. Moving on is one of the outcomes. And I read that to mean the relationship is now coming to an end, and we can develop a different kind of relationship. So it's like personal relationships. You know, they have a point when the relationship is ended, if you can, you end it in a way that is without argument. And I think that notion of exit is really important. Because it's about balancing the relationship between what are essentially two unequal partners in a conversation, the municipality on one hand, the NGO second.
This comes in my mind to the thought that maybe our question is not very luckily formed, like it's about one-way communication from the officials, from the stakeholders to the people, the volunteers, and so. But it should be in both directions, and it should be equally communication should be not only one side.
It's also means that there should be some shift of even power from the local government to the civil society. So the local government should be aware that it cannot arrange everything anymore. So it should leave something to the field, and also give some trust to the field, to the civil society. The civil society has good plans to solve a joint problem. That's something also between shift of power. I don't know exactly the right word for that.
It's a good point. I think we can write it down about this shift of power from government to the social sector. You had a word.
Good point you mentioned that we did some research in rural communities a while ago, quite a few years ago, about the issue of taking the problem in the community and how they solve it, where they go to find a solution. We looked at options like councils, local council for that region, NGOs, media, European politicians, national politicians, and so on and so forth. Okay? And quite often people will go to somebody that they knew, the local council, not formally designated responsible division or department. It's always somebody that they happen to know, because that's the way it gets done. And we talked about structure this morning. We had the presentations about you submitted the NGO commission for that. It's fine, but as you just said, quite often you want to be able to go off and be given the power to go and do what they can do best. And the more we try to regulate this kind of relationship, the more we try to formalize it, I think the worse it gets, because we're taking away that innovation element from people that know what to do, how to do it, and just need to be given a kind of, okay, off you go and do it. And we have issues around, okay, how to communicate with potential partners and municipalities. Accessibility. Some municipalities and some cities in Britain, I think, have these video boxes where you go in, you've got a 3 or 4 minute video timer, you sit down and push a button, and you tell the problem you've got and how you think it might be solved. You might not get it far, you might just say, I've got a problem and it needs to be solved. You might have time to say, I've got a problem and I want it to be solved this way. And then there's a responsibility of the city council to listen to watch, and to feedback. But before they put that process in place, there has to be a dialogue of understanding to say, we're going to invite you in to explain your problems, and we're also going to give you the ability to solve them. Ideally by yourself, because you don't want more work, ideally, and ideally with some either access to funding, direct, or an idea of where you can go to get it, and we can help you to get it from another source. So it's not quite saying we're here to solve all your problems. I think you said, Joseph, this morning, it's about setting up a transparent structure that allows people with an issue to communicate, not to communicate to get into a long-winded dialogue that takes months to sort out. It's a quick, big solution. We have a problem, we have a solution, we know how to do it. Just give us the authority to get on and do it. We don't need any funding quite often. We don't need anything more than the authority to do it. And so,
I like it. I mean, but also sometimes the solutions are already there. Because there are bottom-up initiatives that solve the problems. So my problem is the presentation this morning was top down from the official side, and you have to work both parts, both top down and but you have to think bottom up from the NGOs.
I mean, quite often here there's another issue that I do other work in sustainable transport. We wouldn't be doing mobility planning in this country if it wasn't for a European directive that says we have to do it. So sometimes the top-down approach works because we need that kick. If it didn't happen, we wouldn't do it. So it's sometimes not.
Okay, thank you. So we have some brief thoughts about this. I think on the end we will process this to proper categories, even if it's possible, because, for example, for me, it's partially you cannot separate some issues, some categories between local or national level. I think we could pass to the second question to make it over. And second one is about decision-making process. So basically about some healthy partnership. So if we are in the cooperation, usually I think so it's a bilateral cooperation, just a NGO and municipality, or some private company and NGO. Also from time to time is some bigger cooperation, but basically two sides and finding some decision-making process that suits us well. Okay? How can I fix it? You can fix it? Okay. Alright, so it's more about how we should take some decisions. We have some some project or some long-term cooperation, and what should it look like? What it's like from your experience, for example, in your countries, in your cities, making any decisions on a certain project? As you remember.
I think that the decision-making process is important in all levels. There's the transparency and accessible information of decision-making process. In Latvia, we have this good example of all the meetings of government and also parliament are so everybody can watch online, and there's absolute transparency. Everybody can also ask if they want to participate in the meeting of parliament or government, and it's possible. But where the dirty lobby starts is in parliament, in the sub-commissions, and we don't see where some changes in the law or some changes or where there's amendments can be applied from NGOs or also municipalities apply for a grant. And there's how we say call. In a call it's certain. And there's one little word is it makes sense basically that we cannot apply or we can apply and working in transparency internationally that's really one thing where I think all we need to pay attention is access of the information and to see how the decision is step by step made. And that builds up to the partnership. Some is closer to the board and some is more far away, and they have good ideas and good ways to do and so on. But I didn't like the question about this, or somewhere in Europe, how to protect municipalities, like, or the interest. Municipalities are there to serve people, like, come on.
Yeah, it's a public service, yeah.
Yeah, it's public. It's the underlying goal is the public. We don't need to protect, like, they need to protect society, they need to work for us, like, it's just...
It resembles this scheme with triangle that you draw about that taxes goes for a public sector, so public sector should benefit society, like some social organizations, volunteers, etc. I think in Poland it's not work like that. It's more like public sector is outsourcing some public responsibilities to the NGOs, and NGOs do this quite well because they are focused on some ideas, some issues. I don't know, the cultural health or social care or something. So this is a good idea, but I think in Poland, I don't know what's in the different countries really, how it looks like. In Poland, it's not such perfect like it could be.
But then the third question is that civil society is need to serve for public administration, or public administration needs to serve for civil society. It's just getting wrong, and who will else point this out from civil society, and how we can motivate business to pay their tax if they see that the public administration doesn't do a good service for civil society. Like, children doesn't get a good education, the parents doesn't have good access to health, the roads are bad. At the end of the day, that's, I mean, if the public administration doesn't work efficiently, then the society doesn't operate.
But you know, I think the problem is the lack of communication, and the lack of the same expectations, I would say, because sometimes society could count itself as civil society, as states. Sometimes society is just a state, And these are the things when you count the number of active ones who would like to involve and who would like to kind of push the government to make this change, but sometimes they are just complaining that no change is done. Then there are different expectations, and then there is a big gap. So I think that's what we are talking about now, that we should count ourselves as one of the main tools who will make change. And the NGOs are, I think, for that. I know that it's not so easy, sounds just the word. But on one hand, as we talk with we understand that in Finland it works quite perfectly when they count themselves as part of the state, when they count their confidence about society, when they feel a very strong feeling of being part of the community. So somehow that works as well. They get quite efficient feedback from the municipalities. So yeah, I agree with you. In the training, we have to mental situation. We are as well, NGOs and municipalities are different borders, I would say, but otherwise it should be different. And I hope year by year it's getting better and better.
I think about this decision-making process, the main question is if it's really partnership or not, because in Poland, in my opinion, there's no some true partnership. Like it's more like NGO or some group of people have some idea for something, some project, some action. They've got this idea. They go to the municipality. Some officials decide to grant some money to support this idea, also maybe give some services like, I don't know, some place or some marketing service. And this is the end. Then NGO maintain this project, doing mainly everything. After the end, municipality only made some, even not evaluation, just a control of the finance, and this is all. So I don't think so. It could be at this point some fair share of decisions.
Different model.
Yeah, some different models should be.
We have a clear problem that we want to solve as a community, as a government.
Yeah.
Then you discuss this problem with the NGOs that are working on that issue. You ask them. We also have a budget to solve the problem, and you give NGOs the possibility to work out a plan together.
Yeah.
But they should be developed how they can carry out. And when it's fixed in the framework, the government before set up the report together with the NGOs. This plan. But then it's not solving the problem.
I agree completely with how to change minds in municipality, because I think yes, involvement of NGOs is essential, but we still have that attitude that we know the best in the municipality. And
we have to understand not involved as well, so that's not different.
But how you're changing that attitude?
I think you need to believe what you're doing, the thing what you believe in, but you need to believe in it. And I have been working for it, I believe on my municipality, and I have been working in volunteering that since 2002, and I still believe like the government should invest in young people, and the budget that they give to the government is so small. And I think finally go to all these different meetings, because this is democracy. I have a right to go to all these meetings. If they don't listen, I find new arguments. Learn from other countries that make change if you really believe it. Different embassies have the exchange program where you can send officials to do a case study in Netherlands, in Canada, in US. Embassies are happy to listen also NGOs, where are the key people in the public sector who need to have education. And step by step, I'm sure the change is possible.
Just it takes time, believe me, I did it 18 years. So, and it's still, I gave up actually.
Yeah, we have this hierarchy, we see very big hierarchy, and that's a problem. And you talked about quality in between the partners, and I see that it's possible to reach is just to challenge the municipalities, just to not agree with them when they are telling you something, because when we are sitting quiet and seeing all the rules they are proposing to us, then it's like, yeah, we are following that, which are not effective.
This is a good point. It's a good point that maybe the whole group will have the same, but Lithuania has a very, very good, strong legal system, structure, but we're not very aware of how to use it. We're not used to questioning this system. So Kaunas has, I hate to call it a vision, because a vision just has monorails and the future and stuff, but Kaunas has a strategy for the city, and it's important that people who live here know what it says and what it does. So, for example, the youth policy, we are committed in the city of Kaunas for the next 4 years to develop quality and availability of cultural services for young people, ensuring the implementation of a purposeful youth policy. Who devised the youth policy and who's implementing it? That's the question that people here in Monica should be asking. And if no one's responsible, then it's to take responsibility. Because it's a commitment already there. You can't commit without delegating somebody to do it. So I think all the questions can be answered quite often by the structure that already exists. We need to question where it is and who's doing what. And this is a good starting point.
And if it's not working, then propose what to be changed. It's not like dead document, it's alive. And I think for local NGOs, they should be realistic as well. Like sometimes I can see from my colleagues that we from NGOs want to change those and we need to do this. And then a lot of municipalities say, okay, do it, but actually we don't have resources to do it, like also capacity wise, and it can be happening step by step, so we also should be realistic. If we invest in responsibility, what we actually can do in a positive way, and not jump over our
Yeah, and often some organizations or some active group of people who wants to do something, they don't get enough information. For example, they've got some idea, okay, let's do that, and in reality, for example, municipality have this kind of service, but it's so hidden in the city that nobody cares about it and nobody uses it, but that's the reason that the municipality cannot give money for this organization, for example, because like this field of action in the city is covered up. So it's some kind of this problem.
I was in Ukraine in the summer, and when we talked about like corruption and the environment there. We can Google some information there that they don't have this information system what we have in the US. We can Google and find that there is a document they still don't have. So this is our laziness. So we don't want to stand up and actually find who the hold themselves or not. It was like I went last week to municipality and they said, you didn't without support, we actually have extra money to do it. Like, we can give you more than actually you want, but we don't want it. Like, every time. Yeah. Once you get flat, you stay falling.
Okay, thank you. I think we can proceed to our last question. After that, we'll revise all the answers shortly.
And all that, like, to keep the chance to share the good practices. That's a big welcome also here, and it's kind of one recommendation.
Yeah, but
just kind of always keeping people.
Okay, just about sharing the good practices.
There's no issues that come from issues that comes out from solutions.
Yeah, some real issues from.
Which are more regional, I would say at this point, because some issues could be very local, but as we are implementing this kind of projects which are international, usually issues are common for all the world over.
Fine.
We have in both regions of countries that will be a push from
Okay, I think we need to go on to our last question. Then, in the ideal world, we will have 3 minutes to just look on our answers and think shortly something needs to be removed or added. So last thing is about money, about financial management, the structure. Yeah, how
to change the question is, I guess, change the question around. To protect the interests of the municipality.
Yeah, municipality and all partner organizations. So like yeah, I think it's a little unfortunate syntax, but just it should be all partners. So I think.
The municipality is a partner.
Yes.
Yeah, so both partners.
Of all partners. Oh, that's better? Yeah, I'm glad that you are satisfied. Yeah, simpler is better, usually. Okay, come on, so what about this financial terms, some agreements, some good practices, how it should look like?
Quid pro quo has to be something, if we quid pro quo, we put something in, to get something back. So we have to, as NGOs, be clear that we're not taking, and we're giving as much as we receive. It might not be money, but we're giving an equal amount. So quid pro quo, just to prove what's being taken, what's being given.
Yeah, some responsibility for this money and for this mandate from municipality to do something.
Also, you said about make it easy.
And less bureaucratic.
Yeah,
less bureaucratic.
Of course. In many projects we saw so many papers for responsibility.
I think it's very important that the government or whatever public administration has equal rules for not for each project is different. We have like sport organizations need to give less documents than NGOs or the science organizations they need to give a bill just starting from €100, for example. We need to give each cent. Like there's no common system, and I think that equal rules to local, national, EU is better. Yeah, otherwise it's not.
Okay, I think it's also a matter of some legislation, some law in each one country, because, for example, I know in Portugal there's quite like this. Some NGO want to make something, for example, I don't know. Wine festival in Porto, and they have the idea. It is accepted by municipality. Municipality gives them money, and it's about financial agreement and financial management. It's like, okay, you've got the money, just do it. We'll go for this festival. We'll look if it's real. If yes, so fine. It's your matter how you manage this money that we gave you. And for example, in Poland, it's under the law of public finance, so every Polish zloty should be listed that I spend half of euro for this and half of euro for this.
Yeah, of course we cannot change laws so quickly.
So quickly, yeah, but it could be nice.
You should be responsible for the organizing activities that you promise to organize. But we have to report about that. Of course, about the results, the outcome. Finance is not so important because when the government wants to build a bridge, for instance, the buys a bridge, the company is going to build the bridge. The bridge is paid for, not for the financial account, just the bridge.
Yes, not for the.
I don't understand that you cannot change it that way, but it's the way you should move.
John, please.
I don't know how the kind of financial rules of public authorities are influenced, but certainly in the United Kingdom, one of the arguments that NGOs would make is that it's the less bureaucracy is good, equal rules are good, but the costs for NGOs of engaging in this kind of partnership working are likely to be higher than they are for authorities. Local authorities assume, these factors assume that NGOs are a cheaper way of providing services. That may not be the case. And funding is often, again in the UK, is often on a 1 year or maybe a 2 year period, so it's a fixed term. Which makes it difficult, therefore, for NGOs to plan in quite the same way as the public authorities can plan. And so I think there's something about, it's more than less bureaucracy. I think it's rethinking completely, actually, how we fund these public services, and it's recognising that there may be lots of very positive outcomes by transferring responsibility to NGOs, but recognising that it's not straightforward moving money from one pot, one bank account to another bank account. It requires a kind of cultural shift in our thinking. And that's, so just quickly, I would think that one of the advantages of the EU, listening to people talk over the last day or two, one of the advantages of the EU is it can set expectations around good practice. It can set kind of benchmarks and frameworks which members can then aspire to, as opposed to being too regulatory. Let's feel at the moment in New York there's a move against that notion of moving too regulatory. I think it's something around setting the standards which I think is helpful from an EU perspective.
It will be very helpful.
Yeah.
Do they make what's right? Which is about sustainability of funding, so that it's only 1 year, so the results and outcomes are good to local issues.
Yeah, well, I've just been working as an advisor to an NGO working in a city near where I live, and they're working with children and families, and their funding was allocated on the basis of 3 years. Children don't suddenly stop having problems after 3 years. And one of the difficulties they got into, as you would expect, is that very good stuff, as the project comes towards the end of its life, project staff will get some jobs elsewhere. So the project almost ends before the funding ends. And that's part of public sustainability. And that's because the local authority, which is using some of this money, allocates the money that to those mid-time projects.
Okay, thank you. Agnia, you have some last words? Like? No. Okay, so thank you. I think we could have a last look at each of set of our answers. Just that during the presentation in the main hall, we could be responsible for our answers. So please have a look, and if you think something should be for sure added or removed, please.
Well, the list for communication, you let us. If you have anything, we can write.
Okay. It's the first question about communication.
Official partners, like EU, I mean, that's not at local level. That's how we do and counties. Exactly.
I don't know, just if you would have a very European strategy which will work in European level for communication, but I don't believe it. We are also different, so I don't think we should be involved in this part.
Yeah, like what we can put about on this level about communication.
I think again here is communication about best practices. That's what we can do.
Yeah, just to share best practices.
Yeah.
Volunteering is not made by European Commission.
Yeah, share the practices on the international level.
Making them are thinking about what's going on in that side.
And keep using European years of like map years, like European year of volunteering a few years ago. Actually, the great example I learned from America, different countries, people who never been involved in volunteer work that year actually did something and they are doing some work. So I was skeptical because none of the actually after 4 years it made sense. And basically that's public awareness.
Okay, so can we look at our answers about decision-making process? The second one? I think it's quite fine. We can, I think, refine it after our time. Okay, it's about finances.
I don't know, can I add something? I think it's more important to look on that. Like, I think I remember the point that almost nobody in soft activities, so they're new here, nobody checks the quality. And they check the financial reporting, but actually nobody checks that the quality is the values or the ground or whatever. It's not like very rarely.
Okay, so better put.
All levels.
Yeah, it could be even a general recommendation, like.
There's like some punishment too, you know what I mean? No, it should be some kind of commitment and a consciousness that, well, we should be good. Well, I don't know how this is going to be, and I'm just checking people are really stressing about all this stupid stuff. And it doesn't make it better any communication or partnership or.
And I just give one short example. We had the Society Integration Foundation, a lot of grants in Norwegian grants. And one of the protocols about gender equality and then the organization who got quite a big grant was actually one who was lobbying all laws against any gender equality. It was like, and now they actually check that, and then they got the grant and especially use the work and the conference that they delivered with absolute nonsense. Then some other organizations put them on court. And that's why I say that all this checking clerks doesn't actually pay attention to the policy, but they just check something.
Yeah, okay. It's a good point.
One suggestion, because for all my experience, I noticed that some things were repeating, and we already had a lot of good manuals, projects, good communication exercises, and they are somewhere. The project ended, and it's somewhere. And maybe suggest you also somehow to find the tools, how to take all the experience of nearly already 20 years in our countries what we have, and a lot of good products produced.
They keep asking for innovation, but also for implementation and continuing of this.
Dominic is saying if you look at Lithuania, if I wanted to find out in Lithuania which cities have done what kind of work in social, health, youth, transport, how would I find out what's involved in the European projects they've had? Where would I go? To 55 different European project websites? No. But yes, that's the way it is. So it's an ministry thing to collect what cities have done. Because all this information is available in Lithuania as well.
So it's all well how to
coming back to the effective public administration. If the business doesn't do proper administration, then they fail. Proper management is public administration, doesn't do proper management, they keep running and get salaries and everything is happy. There's no society. Efficiency.
Okay, dear colleagues, I think I know that we are out of time. I think that 1 hour plus 1 hour of presentations before, it's far not enough to discuss this really deep matter, deep questions. We could sit here a few days. Yeah, we cannot solve, we cannot save the world. So thank you a lot for your effort, for your impact, for discussion. If you have any further suggestions, just please approach me or Audrona, and we'll be taking the main call. Thank you.